Hello, my name is Dion McGee, and I'm the owner of McGee Enterprises and executive sponsor of Eventi Focus, which is a global initiative that establishes the highest standards for event project management while meeting the innovative needs of an emerging and ever changing profession. I'm also a certified meeting and project management professional. During this challenging time, as we continue to plan meetings and events while addressing COVID 19 concerns, we have some work to do. In this brief session, I will share the most recent CDC considerations for events and gatherings, and I will offer top 5 best practices for your consideration in the planning process. So I hope you enjoy this session, and I wish you much success. So, in this brief session, I'm going to review the CDC guiding principles and offer its definition for gatherings. We'll look at the CDC's event risk levels and determine how we use them in our events. We'll also understand its recommendations for maintaining healthy event environments and event operations. And then finally, I'll leave you with my top 5 industry best practices. So, according to the CDC, a gathering refers to a planned or spontaneous event, indoors or outdoors, with a small number of people participating or a large number of people in attendance, such as a community event or a gathering, concert, festival, conference, parade, wedding, or sporting event. Obviously, this pretty much encompasses all types of events that we plan every day. The CDC definition clearly defines what type of events are to be considered when we are planning through our preparedness for COVID 19. So, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention CDC has presented its guiding principles. According to the CDC, the more people an individual interacts with at a gathering, and the longer the interaction lasts, the higher the potential risk of becoming infected with COVID 19 and COVID 19 spreadings. The higher level of community transmission in the area that the gathering is being held, the higher the risk of COVID 19 spreading during the gathering. So, the size of an event or gathering should be determined based on state, local, territorial, or other safety laws and regulations. And the 4 general risk groups are identified for us today. Historically, our events would fall into a higher risk and a highest risk category because typically the average number of persons attending a meeting or event is estimated to be 50 to 100 persons. So we want to be clear about how we can manage our events and know that the risk of our events are determined by its location, number of people, and other factors that should be considered in the planning process. As a meeting planner, we know it's important to continue to maintain a safe and clean environment for our participants. The CDC has identified some additional clarifications and additional guidance that will be helpful as we are managing through our event experience. What venues we want to ensure that there are clean areas for those that are participating, that there is adequate ventilation and sterilized water systems. As participants are networking and participating in our meeting experience, it's recommended that we look at modified layouts such as physical barriers and or guides, instruction how to improve social distancing, the 6 feet requirement. And then finally, with food services, although there is no evidence that COVID 19 is spread by food, according to the CDC, however, people sharing utensils and congregating around food service areas can pose a risk. As we are moving through the execution or preparing for the operations of our event, we should consider any local and state regulatory agency policies to group gatherings. In addition, you might want to implement a communications plan to keep your stakeholders updated around the progress of your event, and consider staffing support, providing travel and work protection and other items for their safety. For the protection of high-risk persons, you should be prepared to identify signs and symptoms, identifying a point of person that can help manage to that particular experience, addressing shared facilities, and also considering a staggered or a rotating limited attendee plan in terms of movement to increase the social distancing process. So now that we have a better understanding of some of the considerations by the CDC, I'd like to share with you my top 5 best practices. Number 5, engage and listen to stakeholders. So as we are moving through this challenging time and we know that our environments are changing and perhaps our business direction and strategies are also changing as we are working with our clients, we want to be sure that we are actively listening to our stakeholders, involving them in the process, and really engaging their participation to ensure that we are meeting their expectations. Top 4 best practice is to identify constraints. So you may be pre-planning a canceled or a meeting or event that has been postponed. It is recommended to reconsider and reevaluate if there are constraints that you should consider. You may want to plan for contingencies so that you can anticipate any future obstacles that you may be facing in the process. Top 3 is to assess your strategic partners and suppliers. As you have established long-term relationships with suppliers and other partners, it's important to reevaluate how they are responding and implementing their own action plans around COVID-19. Also, open and honest transparency is really important as you are implementing your shared support plans. So I would encourage you to have those discussions and a document where the process is certainly going to allow for enhanced improvements, cleanliness, and just a better overall experience. So top 2 is to review and update your contractual terms. So in the light of a pandemic and other events that may be occurring in the world today, it's really important to look at those contractual terms and renegotiate or add in favorable terms that help to reduce your financial and human resources risk, but also helps to really eliminate your exposure and just to ensure that your organization is well protected. One best practice is to implement an event project risk management plan. As a certified project management professional, I know the importance of having a plan that you can be able to identify your risk to implement responses that will drive greater success for your event. As you consider writing your risk management plan, Focus is available to help you move through the process. Be sure to include some of the best recommended practices discussed here today and your internal best practices to really drive your event forward. So I hope that you've enjoyed this session today. If you would like more information about Focus and are to review more of our resources, please visit us. Reach out to me directly if you have any questions. So I'll leave you with a reminder that we are still in a great industry, which is the business of meetings and events. So please stay encouraged and reach out for any reason. We wish you much success.